Alright, we will be tearing down a 1984 Suzuki LT185 motor. This will fit of various years, 84, 85, 86, 87, possibly more than that. So we're going to start with the head. We're going to pull the head off. We're going to pull a recoil, stator assembly with the flywheel. We've got clutches over here, clutch cover, and then we'll end up splitting this case. First thing you're going to do is take the cam chain tensioner off. Two 10mm bolts on either side of the tensioner. And to adjust this tensioner, there's a 12mm nut on top with a flat screw, but we won't need to adjust that for any reason. And then you take and tap that off there. That'll break that gasket seal. You've got to replace that gasket anyways. So next, what you're going to do is pull the head cover. We've got 10mm bolts. 10mm bolts loosened up. Then we take it off. Your cam will be underneath here. Alright, there's your cam there and your two valves. So we've got your exhaust valve, we've got your intake valve here. And we can pull that cam. What you do is take a screwdriver. There's two holders on either side of this. And you just take a screwdriver, flatten those holders. You take this pull starter, pull it a little bit until you get to the other side. 10mm, loosen that cam sprocket bolt. Spin it the other way, loose that. So pull this sprocket off of here. Now it'll give us enough room to get that cam out. Your cam, here's the sprocket. We'll put that sprocket back on. We'll just take a screwdriver, hold that cam chain up. So next we'll go ahead and pull 14mm bolts. Alright, those are all off. And then we've got two 10mm nuts on the bottom of these heads that we got to take off before you can take the head off. So, okay, and then there's a guide bolt here, 12mm guide bolt. And that head is ready to come off. So the screwdriver holding the cam chain, I'll have to just hang on to it there. And there is the cylinder head. So we've got valves here, exhaust, and then the intake there. And we're able to take that other guide out, put these guides together, and then once we pull the recoil off and the stator, we can pull that cam chain, but that can't be pulled until all those other parts are taken off right here. So two more 10mm nuts to pull the cylinder off. Got your piston down in there, the barrel. Alright, now that cylinder's ready to come off. What we're going to do is put this recoil pull starter here. We've got your gear selector here. There's a 10mm bolt that can be removed. And that'll have to pull all the way off to slide off. C-flip there. Slide this off the shaft. There's a pin that runs down here that you won't be able to get that O-ring off until you remove that pin. Or that washer off until you remove that pin. There you go, and then there's a spring behind here with a spacer. So we'll keep all those pieces together. We'll remove the 10mm around that recoil. By just pulling the recoil, you won't have any, it's not spring loaded or anything behind there. It's when you pull this plate that is spring loaded. So this one pulls just fine. You get a lot of them that are, the spring will explode, parts will break in here. This one's just fine. So got the recoil there. You've got your recoil cup here. You can remove that cup with the 10mm bolts all the way around. And then you've got your flywheel behind that. Pull all these Phillips. You want to hang on to that flywheel, otherwise it'll spin the crank. It can cause damage to the cases where that cam chain will hit. These threads are a little rusty here, so I'm just going to spray this on there. I'm going to take two screwdrivers on either side and pull this washer out. We've got a puller to pull this flywheel, and we want this puller to go all the way down, seat all the way to the bottom of that puller. This type of puller has threads on the outside. It's reverse threaded, so you want to tighten it up the way you would generally loosen a bolt. And that just pops right off of there. Then to take it off, turn it clockwise. And there's your flywheel there. This is magnetic. Your stator in the back there. This is just here to hold wires. And here is your stator assembly. Missing one connector on the end here, but otherwise the stator looks really good. So this case will be ready to come off. You might run into a problem with that keeper on that crank. This time we didn't, but a lot of times it might hold that seal up. But there's your stator cover, the magneto cover. You pull that gasket off there. There's your shift gear here. We'll pull that out. There's a pin that fell out that we want to make sure we grab. And this pin will just, or this shaft will just slide out. And you can see we've got our cam chain down here, and we will take that out at this time, set it with the other cam chain parts. And we'll see if we can get the cylinder off now. Cylinder is off. So that's what the bottom of the cylinder looks like. We've got a little bit of scoring in there, but looks like this dowel pin here was what was holding us up. Or this dowel pin here was holding us up. So now to pull that piston off, what I do is grab an angled pick, come in from the side, and if this piston was put in correctly, or the circlips was put in correctly, you'll be able to get to it. That pick will go flying, or that circlip will go flying. Then you can just take a screwdriver, push it out, and then there's your piston there. So look that over real good. Sometimes you can reuse a piston if there's no scoring. It's got a little bit of scoring on it. Not major, but it does have some, so we won't reuse it. To pull the speedometer gear out, we've got a 10mm bolt here. And then this will actually just slide out, and I don't know if we'll be able to do it right now, or we'll have to do it maybe when we split that. Yep, there it pops out there. Here's your speedometer gear here. That's where it goes down into the motor. 2 pieces. But I just put a little screwdriver in there and pry it underneath a thread here, and you don't want to pry too hard. This is aluminum. You don't want to damage those threads. But got your countershaft sprocket here.